Hello, and welcome to another day on the channel. My name is RNGesus, and today we'll be doing some midweek magic historic artisans. As requested by one of my friends, I will be doing a rule modified deck. If you're unfamiliar with modified, if a creature is equipped, enchanted, or has a counter on it, it is considered modified for anything that requires modified. So this deck basically is a +1/+1 counter deck. And the key card in it is Artillery Enthusiast. This creature says modified creatures you control have menace, so it just basically gives our entire board menace. And when it enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, seek a card with that mana value equal to that card's mana value. So you can basically pitch a card that you don't need at the specific moment and fetch something with the exact same mana cost. This is very good if you want to discard a tap land and try and find a untapped land, so that can really help curve out. We're also running Kumeno Faces Kakazan, which enters the battlefield, deals 1 damage. Second chapter gives you +1 counter when you cast a creature. And third chapter flips into a 2/2 with haste and exile stuff, so it's also some graveyard hate. We also have Rigging Runner, which is a 1/1 first strike, but if you've attacked this turn, it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So most of the time, since we're a super aggressive deck, it's going to be a 2/2 first strike that enters with the +1/+1 counter, basically. Then we're also running Servant of the Scale. This is a 0/0, but it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter. And when it dies, put X +1 counters on another creature. So it basically, or where X is the number of +1 counters on the Servant of the Scale. So it basically transfers its counters to another creature, which is great. So if we can stack a bunch of counters on this thing and then just moves it to something else. We're also running 4 Tenacious Pups. They say when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, and when you cast your next creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with an additional counter, trample counter, and vigilance counter. I'm just going to call +1/+1 counters as counters because +1/+1 counter are a mouthful. Anyway, this is a great way to help get a really big creature and modify some creatures that aren't modified up here. We also have Wildwood Scourge. This enters battlefield with X +1/+1 counters, so this is more of a 2-drop. But whenever one or more +1/+1 counters are put on another non-Hydra creature you control, put a +1/+1 counter on Wildwood Scourge. So this basically, whenever I put a counter on another creature, I put that many counters on Wildwood Scourge. And if we proliferate on multiple creatures, this gets really big really fast. We also have Aki Emberkeeper, which says whenever a non-token modified creature you control dies, create a 1/1 colorless spirit. This is a great way, so if they kill our modified creatures, we get back a creature out of it anyway, and we can keep modifying that. We also have a Kami's Flare, which is deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker, which the planeswalker part mostly doesn't matter unless they're playing War of the Spark cards. And it deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller if you control a modified creature. So in this deck, it's basically a Searing Blood type effect. We're also running 4 Pollen Bright Druids as a way to proliferate our board, and if we don't need to proliferate, we can always just add a +1/+1 counter to a creature. We're also running 3 Smell Fears, which proliferates and have 2 target creatures fight, so it's a removal spell and proliferates. We're also running 4 Domri's Ambushes as a +1/+1 counter addition and a bite effect to target creature or a planeswalker. Then we're running 7 Mountains, 7 Forests because our deck's pretty even, having 23 of each. And we're running 4 Rugged Highlands as some mana fixing. That is the deck. If you have any suggestions for me, let me know down in the comments about what other cards I could add to the deck. And without further ado, let's jump into the games and see how the deck does. Alright, we are on the draw, and this hand looks keepable. We can lead off with either Kumeno Faces Kakazan. Let's lead off with the Kakazan at the moment. We just have so many of them in hand. They just play land pass? Okay. Let's cast an Artillery Enthusiast and pitch our Aki Emberkeeper to find something else. We find a Smell Fear. Pretty good. And we'll cast another Kumeno Faces Kakazan. Pass a turn. They cast a Phyrexian Rager, so this is mono black. Gotta watch out for Garys. We flip our Commando faces Kakazan, and we get a counter. So we'll play land, cast Wildwood Scourge for 1, get the counter from Kumeno, and cast another Commando faces Kakazan. Swing. They trade off with Etchings, that's fine, and we pass a turn. Our board is looking pretty sweet, and we have a Smell Fear as another removal spell if they have anything, but they do have a Bake into a Pie, which is annoying. We're going to use that. So we flip Kumeno. We'll move to combat, swing with both, and we'll cast the Tenacious Pup to get that counter, and cast Rigging Runner with 3 counters on it, along with Vigilance and Trample. So this is just Vigilance, Trample, Menace, First Strike, with 2 +1 counters. That's a lot for just a 1-drop. Ill-Gotten Inheritance, that must be their win condition. Sadly, we cannot... Wait, can we cast Smell Fear? We can cast Smell Fear. Yes, GG's. We could just proliferate our board to make sure that we deal lethal. We have 2, 4, 6, 8, 11 damage exactly on board. Yeah, GG's. On to the next game. This hand looks pretty keepable. Lead off with Tenacious Pup, followed by an Aki Emberkeeper. They play a Mountain and pass. Wildwood Scourge, that might change things. They cast a Kiln Fiend. Oh, well, we gotta kill that fast. Pay 0. Gets a counter. Land. Swing for 1. They take it. Cool. And cast Rigging Runner. The First Strike will definitely help if they have, like, a bunch of Power Pump. Crash through, sure thing. They play a Forgotten Cave. They can't really do much with this Rigging Runner having First Strike, unless they have a Toughness boost, which they don't seem to have. So we'll play a land and cast Smell Fear. And they just concede to the Rigging Runner. Yeah, GG's. They, without any Toughness boost, a 2/2 First Strike will just end them. On to the next game. This hand is missing red, so we'll mulligan. This is, missing green. This hand's still missing green, but with more green spells we'll keep. And we'll bottom the Tenacious Pup, since we'd rather cast that early and without, well, anything, or any green mana to help cast early. It doesn't really do much. We'll just cast Rigging Runner here, since casting it after we attack and casting it now are the same thing. A 2/2 First Strike. They cast a Scaled Nurturers. Ah, so dragons. We'll cast a Kami Flare. Deal some damage, exile that, Rugged Highland, gain a life, swing, and pass. So we are the aggressor here. Another Kami Flare. Looks pretty darn good. Pollen Bright Druid. They just pass. And we draw another Pollen Bright Druid. Okay. What they probably have is Dragon's Fire. We'll put the counter on the Etching, since we'd rather keep our modified creature for Kami Flare purposes. Breath Weapon. Oh, that is back-breaking. I was not expecting Breath Weapon. Jeez. Well, try and rebuild. Tenacious Pup, pass the turn. Jeez. Yeah, we were doing so good. Thrakkus the Butcher. Domri's Ambush. That's fine. Put a counter on the Pollen Bright Druid. No attacks. Pass the turn. We lost 3 creatures in that breath weapon. No blocks. A Servant of the Scale is pretty sweet, but we just have to ambush this. But they might have removal up. Hopefully no Dragon's Fire. Breath Weapon doesn't do it this time. Dread Linnoworm. I mean, at least we get the counter, but everything gets bigger. Very big. Yikes. A big creature we can't deal with, we'll concede. Next game, please. On the play, this hand looks pretty good. Do you want to lead off with Enthusiast and be risky to try and get a green source? No, we'll just play it safe. Play the Rugged Highland, pass turn. Turn 2, Wildwood Scourge. Another Rugged Highland. Well, we'll just cast Wildwood Scourge. Hopefully we just cast a creature rather than kill our Scourge, since we like our Scourge here. What you got? Reckless Ringleader. Oh, that's a haste, and that's also haste, so it looks like Mono Red Goblins. Yikes. Well, we'll cast an Enthusiast. Discard Rugged Highlands, and find an untapped land. Thank you. And we'll cast Domri's Ambush. Have you shoot you. Maybe we should have shot the Foundry Street Denizen, since it might represent more damage. I'm not really sure. Yeah, with adding a counter to this, we probably should have shot the Foundry Street Denizen. On Crop Crasher. They're definitely going to exert that. Well, OP, how does this feel? Put a counter on the Pollen Bright Druid itself, so we can grow the Wildwood Scourge a bit more. And then we will Smell Fear. Have you fight you. Proliferate. Trigger. Wildwood Scourge gets humongous. Swing. Pass the turn. And they're on Cop Crashers, still tapped. They play Ramen Up Ruins. Yeah, if they play something scary, we'll just use Domri's Ambush. Vishino Pyromancer, sure thing. And a Servant of the Scale. Decent draw. We'll cast Servant of the Scale. grow our Scourge. Domri's Ambush. Bite the Etchings, grow the Wildwood, and they concede. This was only a 1-drop. How scary could it possibly get? On to the next one. On the play, this hand looks pretty good. We'll lead off with a red card since we only have one of each land at the moment. We'll use the Enthusiast and pitch Aki since we don't really care for Aki at the moment. Pollen Bright Druid looking much better. We'll sing in. They play an Evolving Wilds. Good for us. We will play Green Source, cast Servant of the Scale, swing for 1, cast Rigging Runner. Yep. They cast a Core Blade Master, so we'll just kill that with an ambush. And we'll put the counter on the Enthusiast, so now we have multiple. All our creatures have counters, so we can proliferate more. And they all have Menace. Pass a turn. Interesting. 3 colors. Sunset Revelry. Boo. We'll cast a Pollen Bright Druid. Proliferate. Swing. If they kill the Servant of the Scale, we just move its counters to another creature. And they can't chump block it because of MtGA. They just take it. And we'll cast a Kameno Faces Kakazan. Pass the turn. What you got, OP? A War Chanter Scald. When it becomes tapped, if it's enchanted or equipped, create a 2/1. Oh, that's kind of cool. Pollen Bright Druid. Proliferate. And they concede to Pollen Bright. Just pumping our board and getting our 2/2 haste down, even though we can't attack with it, is still pretty good. Good games. On to the next one. This hand looks pretty good. We'll turn 1 Enthusiast, pitch 1 Enthusiast. We don't need 3 of them. And draw a Tenacious Pup. They play a Cruel Celebrant, so telling me a sacrifice deck. So we'll Domri's Ambush now. Just kill that before they can gain any more life. Scary cards like Blood Artist and Bastion of Remembrance. Hunted Witness, fine, and Blood Artist. Well, we want to kill that as soon as possible. But for now... No, we'll Domri's Ambush. Let's get a board out first. We'll cast Tenacious Pup into another Artillery Enthusiast. Pitch the Ember Keeper. Big Enthusiast. Pitch Ember Keeper. Try and find more removal spells. We find another Ember Keeper. Hopefully they don't have a removal spell here. They just Village Rites. Oh, that's fine. With Menace, it makes it hard for them to, like, chump block Village Rites. Another Cruel Celebrant. Sure thing. Let's Domri's Ambush. It's not proliferating just yet, but we're building our board pretty well. Do they have like a village rights or something? Because even then, that's fine. Sure. And swing. I can't even block anything profitably. Pass the turn. Things are looking pretty good. Next turn, if we draw a green source, hopefully we can cast Servant and then cast Smell Fear. Otherwise, we'll just Smell Fear. Okay, Malakir Rebirth into a Sacrifice. Another Village Rites. Doomed Traveler, that's cute. And, okay, Eaten Alive. Now that's mean. You didn't need to do that, man. You didn't need to do that. Luckily, we got another Artillerist, so we're fine. A Tenacious Pup. Well, let's Smell Fear now. Kill a Cruel Celebrant before they can get any more life off of that. Pass the turn. A Bastion of Remembrance is a problem. Just for the fact that we can't get rid of it. We'll swing in with everything. And we'll just go wide with Rigging Runner. And Servant to the Scale. Maybe going Tenacious Pup there would have been better. Into Rigging Runner, then we would have a 3/3 with a lot of stuff on it. If they have a removal spell, they're going to get rid of the Enthusiast. Yep. They exile that. Our board loses its menace, but that's fine. We'll cast an Aki Ember Keeper. Make sure everything is modified. Swing in. If they trade with the Servant of the Scale, we will get a bit of value from that. Either way. Is this like a Plumb the Forbidden? Yep, Plumb the Forbidden. Draw 4 cards. Lose 4 life. But we do drain for 3, but that was going to happen anyway. Play Rugged Highland. Gain a life. Pass turn. They cast a Blood Artist. Triple Blood Artist. I guess we have to kill them in 1 combat now. Cast a Tenacious Pup. Into a Wildwood Scourge for 1. Because right now, if they like block with all 3 Blood Artists, they'll all see each other dying, and we die. Even with Rigging Runner. Along with the Bastion. So we just have to kill them in 1 fell swoop before, hopefully, we can kill them in 1 fell swoop. Not Village Rights? Okay, Dockside Chef. That's not a Village Rights. But are we just dead now? Yep, Blood Artists. And then they can sacrifice the chef to itself, or literally anything. They cast a Doomed Traveler and sacrifice that, yeah. Oh well, on to the next game. On the draw, this hand looks promising. Turn 1 Kumeno, turn 2 Emberkeeper or Wildwood Scourge. They seem to be sacrificed as they play a Dockside Chef. Yep, black-white sacrifice, Blood Artist, Cruel Celebrants, Bastions of Remembrance, Clarion Spirit. Interesting. We'll cast a Aki Emberkeeper. Pass the turn. Hopefully we top deck a Domri's Ambush. Life of Toshiro Umezawa. That's aggressive. Smell Fear, number 2. Sure thing. We'll cast an Artillery Enthusiast. We will pitch a Smell Fear. No, we'll just pitch a land. For another land. It just, 1, thins the deck by like 5%. And 2, we might need another red source. So who knows? We'll swing in with Etchings. And pass the turn. They can give Dockside another +2. Sure, but we have double Smell Fear next turn. Oh, wait. I forgot. Toshiro has -1/-1. No! I completely forgot about that. We should have just cast Wildwood Scourge on +2, or on 2 counters. So are they a cast 2 spells a turn? Enchantment. This is interesting. I like it, but it's interesting. We take 4. Cast Smell Fear, have you fight you. Proliferate. And have you fight you. Proliferate. Do we swing in? Now we'll just pass. They can give something +2/+2. And Life of Toshiro transforms into Memory of Toshiro. 2/3 is definitely annoying. But we can handle it. Detention Vortex. Well, we can just crack that, so doesn't really matter too much. Crack. But Ryan, it was modified. We'll just crack it and swing in for 5. They take it. And we'll cast a Tenacious Pup. Gain a life, play a Rugged Highland, gain another life, pass a turn. This is a very interesting deck they're playing. Another Michiko's Reign of Truth. +3/+3. Another Tenacious Pup. Swing for 5. If they block and block there, we still kill both. And that shrinks the amount of enchantments for Michiko's Reign of Truth, so I'm happy with that. Their best block is like either take it or block with Clarion Spirit and Memory. Yep, we'll order the Memory first. We kill both, we create a Spirit, and we'll cast a Tenacious Pup with a counter on it. gain another life. They can give their spirit +1/+1. And now we're both in top deck mode, but I believe my board is superior at the moment. They display land and concede. Yeah. Top deck mode with one person having a superior board. On to the next game. On the play, this looks like a pretty sweet hand. We'll keep. Turn 1 will lead off with Tenacious Pup. Pass turn. Then we can go Aki Emberkeeper or Servant of the Scale. Okay, Scorched Bitter. Let's go with Servant of the Scale. That way we can transfer its counters into a Artillerist, pitch 1 Aki Emberkeeper since we don't need to, and find a Pollen Bright Druid. Cool. So they're definitely Mono Red Aggro. Might have like a Skewer the Critics. Block with the Enthusiast. Maybe double blocking is the correct play, like if they have an instant speed removal spell. Sure, they Frostbite that. Counters on the Enthusiast. Light up the stage. Sure thing. Well, Pollen Bright Druid. Put a counter on the pup. Gain a life. Swing. Pass the turn. Who's the aggro deck now? Forbidden Friendship. We'll take it because we can add counters onto other creatures anyway. Servant of the Scale. Great draw. Swing for 5. Cast a Servant of the Scale. Cast an Emberkeeper. Play a Highland, gain a life. Pass the turn. Imagine a mono red deck can't even get a aggro deck's life total below 20. Ah, so they're a Cavalcade deck, I see. That's actually a little worrying for the fact that they can just kill me out of nowhere. We'll swing with all of those creatures. They block nothing, and we'll cast Commando Faces Kakazan. I'm cool with... How much would one Cavalcade do? 1, 2, 3, 4... They cast a Rabbit Battery. Cavalcade. Let's hope we survive this. How big will this Chandra Spitfire grow? Wow. We couldn't even done anything against that anyway. I'm just surprised. GG's, I guess. Well, the deck doesn't seem that competitive. It's not the greatest deck, but it's definitely a fun one if you like modified. So, anything that we maybe could have changed about the deck? The Opki Emberkeepers are pretty medium. Like, they don't seem that great. They aren't modified themselves, and the spirits that they create aren't modified either. So I don't think it's worth the include. And once this gets off the waiting screen, I can go back to the deck and review it. Finally. Okay. So, the deck definitely is kind of interesting. It definitely doesn't... It probably would need to cut the Aki Emberkeepers for some more better cards. But besides that, the deck's decently solid. I wouldn't say it's aggressive enough or, like, very competitive. But it's definitely a fun deck if you want to build it. It also only takes commons and uncommons. So, yeah. Thank you for watching. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. And I will see you all next time.